what's going on in this country is a level of hypocrisy, greed, arrogance at the top of business. When they face issues, the first people they attack is working people. And in BT, we call the CEO now Food Bank Phil. Our members are using food banks, he's using Swiss banks. That's the difference, and he hasn't got the bottle or the integrity to come in the room and negotiate with workers who are struggling like at no other point in their careers. Now this company made £1.3 billion last year. They chose to give away £750 million to shareholders and then imposed, not negotiated, imposed a deal worth on average 4.8% effectively over last year and this year. Now that level of greed, that level of misplacement of where you should really be looking after the people, it cannot go on in this country. So solidarity to our BT members out on strike today. Do you agree with that? Let me also say, turning to Royal Mail, I joined the GPO as it was then, back in 1976. So this particular dispute, to see it being what's going on here at the moment, you know, I'm going to say to you guys here today, we will never, ever, ever, ever agree the business plan that Simon Thompson and the board are putting forward. It isn't going to happen. We're going to fight it with every breath in our body. Are you going to join us in that fight? So what we got here, and I can't stand these media people as well. They need to wake up. It's absolutely right that they hold all of us to account when our members are out on strike. But when the leaders of these companies refuse to go in front of the camera to answer that, and they read out these bland statements, this is about modernisation. I'll tell you what it's about, right? This is about destroying the jobs and lives of 120,000 postal workers in this country and the services that we provide to the public. Royal Mail is one of the major contributors to the UK economy, and the only answer in times of difficulty that people on the board can come up with is this same old crap about levelling down on jobs and they got the front to call it modernisation. But I'll tell you what it means to our members who are out on strike today, our posties, loads of them here. Virtually I think every member from this office is out here at this rally. Give them an applause. What it means is more than 10,000 jobs. And they can only justify the job losses they announced the other day if we accept their business plan. And our members know that. They know that they can't suddenly just wipe out 10,000 people. What they want us to accept is a business plan that is P&O style attack on steroids. Make no doubt, this is the biggest attack on a group of workers in this country since the miners. Have no doubt about that, please. Understand what's at stake here. They want to end daily deliveries. They want to replace our members, force them out the door, and they're going to bring in self-employed workers and workers, new starters, on 20% less pay and 3 hour more increased working week. Now that should not be acceptable to any politician, to any member of the public, and to any business in this country. They are destroying one of the greatest companies that has ever been in the UK. And I want to say to you, we are up for modernisation. Bloody hell, the union has put forward all of the ideas on how you expand the role of postal workers, how you start to rebuild local and regional economies, how you start to actually add more social value to what our members already give to this country. It can be done. We can have a successful company, but to do that, you cannot have people who are only interested in pacifying the major shareholders. It's as simple as that. And their business plan is to turn Royal Mail into a gig economy style parcel business. And as I keep saying, and Thompson, who is unravelling in front of our eyes, anybody who's seen his latest video, I'm actually starting to feel sorry for the fella. Not really. I thought I better say that. In case he turns up in talks, which he won't, by the way, because I think he's on his way out. Do you want him out? Look, let me turn to the wider issues that are facing all of our workers in this country today. The biggest problem that workers face is there is an imbalance of power, an imbalance of wealth, and it permeates through every single worker industry in this country. It's the way that the economy is rigged against us, and it is the reason why there are inequalities at a level that we see in this country that must be unacceptable to everybody. And there's only one answer to it. You've got to mobilise workers now. We have got to come together like never before, and I agree with everybody here who's made this point. When workers come together, they cannot be defeated. Do you agree with that? So look, let's mobilise, let's win for the country, let's win decent jobs, let's win high wages, let's win an economy that grows with workers at the core of it. Do you agree with that? Thank you.
But it is great to see you. I've just been on the telly with this today's Secretary of State of Transport, and she's implementing chaos theory. They said they had libertarianism, now they've gone straight to chaos theory. But what that means for us, and what they're saying about railway workers, the legislation that she's going to be piloting through Parliament, is serious. It's directed straight at transport workers and railway workers in particular. And they are saying, in effect, that during disputes such as this one and the ones that we've got running, they will conscript our members, conscript them against their will to go into work and run the service on behalf of the people that we are opposed to. Now that is the biggest suppression of civil liberties that I can remember since the police bill that they brought in 6 months ago. So not only will they not allow us to protest against poverty, they won't allow us to strike against the very issues that we're in dispute with. Now we cannot allow in this country a government of right-wing zealots to tell us, pick out 20 or 30% of the people in this audience here who are on strike and say, you have to cross your own picket line and go to work, and that what is going to happen, if you don't do that, we will fine your union an unlimited amount of money, and we will fine any of you or put you in prison if you don't go to work. Now this is really the last days of a regime. We must make sure that we get these people out and get them out as quickly as possible. And we've got to do everything we can to make sure that happens. And these disputes are a part of that. These disputes are a legitimate expression of working class anger and working class power. And we've got to make sure that power extends right across our country. From the north of Scotland down to the tip of Cornwall, every worker in every village, every city, every county, every workplace has got to be organised into the trade union movement. When we've got them into membership, we've got to get them into campaigns. When we've got them into campaigns, we've got to take them into industrial action whenever we can, so that we can rebalance this society in our favour, so that we can end the exploitation, so we can crush outsourcing, so that we can get a square deal for our people, and we will not be divided. The message of these disputes and the message of the anger that we see in our country is that working class people will never be divided, and we don't care what the Tories say, we don't care what the Daily Mail and the Express and all the bigots that run those newspapers say, we don't care what the commentators say. We are the working class, we will not be divided. United we stand. We are an unstoppable force, and we are going to change this country for the better. We are going to win on the railway, we're going to win on the post office, we're going to win at BT, and we're going to win for our people, and we're going to change this country for the better. Victory to the posties. victory to BT, and victory to our class. Thank you very much.
There's a bit of a circus going on in Westminster yesterday, tonight. I'll say a bit about that later, but what I will say is if there's a silver lining, it's that Liz Truss has finally found out what it's like to be on a 0 hours contract. But the message I want to bring to you today is, just as you've heard from Joe, just as you've heard from Mark and everyone, is that you are not alone. There are workers up and down this country who are fed up to the teeth of being told to tighten our belt, accept real pay cuts, when the boardroom is raking it in, when shareholders' dividends are going through the roof, and where bonuses at the top are at record level, and we are saying enough is enough. We're not having it. We're not having it. And you know what it's about? It's about this shower of a Tory government trying to tell working people that trickle-down economics will deliver. Well, you know, this idea that if you give to the rich, if you give to the top, eventually, some of it will trickle down to working families. Well, an Australian friend of mine gave a good definition. They speak in plain language in Australia. He said the definition of trickle down is the rich pissing on the poor.
So it's victory to you, but it's also victory to the railway workers, victory to our education workers. There's 3,000 of them on strike at the minute in colleges. Can you hear it from them? Victory to every single worker who is taking strike action in order to just be paid what they need to survive. And there's a common theme when we think about all these workers. So I trust my college lecturer, I trust my local postie, and when I'm on a train, I trust the train guard to keep us safe and to keep us moving. But you know what? I wouldn't trust the well-being of I wouldn't trust the Tory, with the well-being of my worst enemy. And this is why we're doing what we're doing in the UK at the minute. It might be fun watching the Tories slowly implode, but it changes nothing. They're still in Parliament, they've still got power, and they're still attacking our class as if we don't matter. So there's lots of talk at the minute about balloting, about strikes, and what is important about that is, just like the pandemic, these strikes, we can shut down the road if we want, the postal workers can shut down the country and stop it being connected, our railway workers can do the same with travel. The power to change this country is in our hands.
Everyone in this country is facing the same pinch right now. We are heading into a moment of social crisis in this country, where thousands of people will not be able to switch the heating on this winter, where thousands of people will go hungry, where hundreds of thousands will not be able to make ends meet as their mortgage costs go up. And why? Because the bosses have been holding our pay down and down and down since 2010. The longest squeeze on wages for 200 years in this country. And as Mick Lynch and Dave have been telling the media, that's got to stop. The economy has to be put right. Value has to come back to working people. They've got 400 million quid profit. It should be shared with you. You deserve the pay rise. And our teachers deserve a pay rise. School support staff deserve a pay rise. Those nurses and midwives deserve a pay rise. All of them need to have the pay rise. And now they're worrying about the economy going into a recession. Well, if we've got no bloody money, how can we spend anything in the shops? Of course there'll be a recession, unless we put this right. They are in chaos in government, and that means with your popular strikes, your fantastic union, the other unions showing solidarity, we can win. It doesn't always feel like we can win, but we can bloody beat them. You can beat them. You can beat the Royal Mail. You can get that pay rise you deserve. The BT workers can defeat BT. We can defeat the government over that teacher pay rise and funding for our schools. The midwives and the nurses, they find it harder to take action, and they need your support as well. And you taking action is supporting them. We're all in it together, not the way George Osborne ever said. Working people are all in it together. You deserve that pay rise. Victory to the postal workers.
When we stand together, nothing can stop the power of the workers we represent from gaining justice. So I want to say to you this: when you turn the telly on, when you put the radio on, what you see are bastards who are running this country, whose friends have been selling the pound and making hundreds of millions of quid, while some of you, like our members, will be using food banks, won't be putting the central heating on, and will be worrying about your kids being fed before they go to school. What type of country is it? We can have a Tory leader, not elected by the public, breaking promise after promise, wrecking the economy, and saying yesterday she's going to take on the militant unions. Well, you're telling her, bring it on. RMT members are saying, bring it on. And hopefully UCU members and PCS members will be giving the same message. Because if 45,000 government workers are using food banks, are claiming the benefits that they administer, who are in tears because they are worried about their futures, and if it's the same for you, and it's the same for council workers, there's something wrong in this country. But I tell you what, there's also something right in this country. That is the brave stand that you are making. You are showing what working people are all about. You care about the service. Thompson doesn't give a shit about the postal service. He wants to make money. You care about the people of Brighton. Where I come from, the postal workers on the picket line of Cardigan in Wales care about the service that they give to the pensioners living in rural communities that they serve so well. So we know about service. We know about delivering the mail, keeping our connectivity going, supporting the welfare state, looking after patients in hospitals. They are working class men and women who are paid a pittance, who they want to drive into poverty and despair. They want to break their unions, and they want a country where we are compliant and we do what we're told when they tell us, and be grateful for the crumbs that they deem to give us. But you know what? You're telling them they can get stuffed. You're telling them we're not having it.